YouTube, we got for prolific things that happened on Friday the 13th. You know, it's not even Friday or the 13th, but why not? You feel me? Why not? Y'all don't even have any questions me.
Friday the 13th has long been considered a date cursed with bad luck. It's largely been a date that people look at as an excuse to do scary themed activities like binging scary movies. But this is the first year since 2017 that Friday the 13th falls in October. So for this video, we're looking at some of the most terrifying events that have actually taken place on the notorious day of bad luck.
Okay. Let me see something.
Tupac Shakur, better known as a stage name simply as Tupac, was an American rapper widely considered to be one of the most influential and successful rappers of all time. Tupac was arguably responsible for some of the most memorable rap verses in history. And while much of his notoriety came about after his shocking death in the mid-1990s, he's still remembered and talked about today. On the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas celebrating his business partner's birthday. And one night while there, he attended the Bruce Seldon vs. Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Later that night at about 11:15 p.m., while at a stoplight, a white four-door Cadillac sedan pulled up to the passenger side of Tupac's vehicle, and an occupant rapidly fired into the car. He was hit 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, with one bullet entering his right lung.
We get it. We get the gunshot. Scott Lee.
And an occupant rapidly fired into the car. He was hit 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, with one bullet entering his right lung. Tupac succumbed to his injuries 6 days later on September 13th, which was a Friday. The case went unresolved, with people suspecting his friend Suge Knight and even rapper Biggie Smalls of the murder. But recently on September 29th, 2023, 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis was charged in the killing of Tupac. Dwayne is not accused of being the one to pull the trigger that night in Las Vegas, but he is, however, being accused of having been the one to call the hit on Tupac. The trial is still currently in progress. A lot of people refuse to fly on Friday the 13th. And while that may come down to pure superstition among some people, there have been a few tragedies in the air on this day. In October 1972, on Friday the 13th, a plane heading to Chile was forced to crash land
on October
in the Andes Mountains. The flight was carrying 45 passengers and crew, including 19 members of the Old Christians Club rugby union team, along with their families, supporters, and friends. 3 crew members and 9 passengers died immediately. Several more died soon afterward due to the frigid temperatures and the severity of their injuries. Survivors of the crash hid in the wreckage for warmth and were eventually forced to cannibalize and eat deceased passengers to survive.
I think I remember this.
A rescue team was sent out, but the mission was called off after 10 days. However, 72 days after the crash, as the weather improved with the arrival of late spring, 2 survivors climbed a 4,700-meter mountain peak without gear and hiked for 10 days into Chile to seek help, traveling a total of 38 miles. The 2 men were able to alert authorities that there were still 16 survivors trapped in the mountains, leading to their rescue. But believe it or not, on the exact same Friday the 13th as this plane crash, the same exact date, was another plane crash that killed all 164 passengers and 10 flight crew. It was Aeroflot 217. The plane needed to land due to horrible weather conditions, but crashed upon landing in Russia just 3 miles away from the runway. The exact cause of the crash could not be determined, but it's speculated that it was largely to do with simply human error. Casualty-wise, it is one of the worst plane crashes in history. While these incidents are incredibly rare, perhaps there is a reason flights are cheaper on Friday the 13th. If you're not superstitious, perhaps it may be worth it. But now we move from the sky to the sea, looking at the Costa Concordia disaster. On Friday the 13th, January 2012, the 8-year-old Costa Cruises ship Costa Concordia just left Civitavecchia, Italy at approximately 7:18 p.m. On board were 1,022 crew members and 3,206 passengers. As the Concordia approached Giglio Island several hours later, it deviated from its standard course, moving closer to the small Tuscan island for a maritime salute, which included the cruise ship sounding its horn to show off to onlookers on the land. The Concordia had performed several in the past, but the area was known for rock outcroppings, and at some point, such a formation was noticed in the ship's path. Francesco Schettino, the captain, ordered a change in course, but allegedly due to language issues, the Indonesian helmsman steered the boat in the opposite direction. It took a little over 10 seconds to correct the maneuver, and the boat's bow ultimately swung clear, but the stern collided with the reef at approximately 9:45 p.m. The damage had been done. The Concordia's port side had suffered a 174-foot tear. This caused the ship to list and then partially sink, landing unevenly on an underwater ledge. Although a 6-hour rescue effort brought most of the passengers ashore, 33 people died, 27 passengers, 5 crew, and later a member of the salvage team. An investigation focused on the shortcomings in the procedures followed by the Concordia's crew and the actions of the captain, Francesco, who left the ship prematurely, leaving behind about 300 passengers on board the sinking ship, most of whom were rescued by helicopters or motorboats in the area. Schettino was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Despite receiving criticism, Costa
That's what you get. But that's one of my fears. Like, I want to go on a cruise so bad, but I just don't like the ocean. I don't like water.
Cruises,
it's not because I'm black. Don't
and its parent company, Carnival Corporation, didn't face criminal charges.
I just don't like
the total cost of the disaster, including victims' compensation, refloating, towing, and scrapping costs, is estimated at $2 billion, more than 3 times the ship's original $612 million construction cost. The cruise line offered compensation to passengers to pay for all damages, including the value of the cruise. Only 1/3 of the survivors took the offer. This remains the biggest modern cruise ship catastrophe. David Anthony McGreevy was born in Southport, England in 1951 to Bella and Thomas McGreevy. David was the second oldest of 6 children. Since David's father was a sergeant in the British Army, a lot of his childhood was spent moving from one army base to another. This could mean that one year he was being educated in an army school in England, the next in Germany. According to David's mother, living in Germany was his happiest time. David's mother, Bella, later said she could only remember one childhood incident of concern, as David was otherwise allegedly well behaved. In 1967, 15-year-old David left school and enlisted in the Royal Navy. However, he was dismissed from the Navy in August 1971 after being court-martialed for starting a fire that destroyed a mess wardroom.
Why would you start
David then moved back in with his parents, but around this time his life was crumbling as his fiancée broke up with him and he was fired from several jobs. For this reason, his parents...
Okay. No, that's just on you. If you get fired, okay, 1 job. Okay, maybe. 2, okay, I can see. 3, okay, you're pushing it. 4, what the fuck are you doing? 5, I haven't even worked 5 jobs in my life. And he got fired for 7.
Became fed up with him and kicked him out. So David turned to his friend Clive Kenneth Ralph, who let him board with he and his wife, Dorothy Elsie, and their 2 small children, Paul and Dawn. Clive and Dorothy had been school friends, and there was a 5-year age gap between small children, Paul and Dawn. With he and his wife, Dorothy Elsie, and their 2 small children, Paul and Dawn. Clive and Dorothy had been school friends.
I think y'all know where this is about to go.
There was a 5-year age gap between them. They had married in September 1968, when Dorothy was 16 and pregnant with Paul. At the time David moved in, Dorothy was pregnant with their 3rd.
This is in the 60s. I got to make a break. But they was marrying, like, they was minors marrying in the
child
60s.
Samantha was born on the 14th of July in 1972. With both Clive and Dorothy busy working, David acted as a babysitter for the Ralph children. He was regarded by family and neighbors as well as the Ralphs as a person who loved children. So what would soon happen was nothing short of unexpected and horrific. On Friday the 13th, in April 1973, Elsie was picked up from
Hold on, chat. Hold on, chat. Hold on, chat.
work by Clive, who had left home late with the children all asleep. When the couple arrived at their home, the police were already there, and they escorted them to the police station, where they were told of the horrible truth that their children had been murdered. So
We
what
saw that
happened?
coming.
Well, David was known to be a heavy drinker.
No, you're a sick person. DP, please. I'm begging. He get DP. He killed 3 innocent kids, like child. Like they didn't get to live life. DP, please.
Sometimes a violent drunk. He had gone to a nearby pub earlier that evening with a friend, and he had 7 pints of beer. The two men had played cards and darts, though a small altercation took place prior to leaving the pub. Clive picked David up from the pub and brought him to look after the children, while Clive went to get Elsie from work. Sometime between 10:15 and 11:15 p.m., David, while completely wasted, became an...
I'm trying to blame on appearance, but if I'm picking somebody up that just came for the bar, club, and they drunk, I'm not letting them watch my kids. I'm not even taking that risk. I'm not trying to blame everybody. I'm just saying.
Infuriated with the children, beginning with the baby, Samantha, who had been crying for her bottle. David violently killed the 3 children, each in a different yet brutal manner. After killing the 3 children, David went down to the basement and retrieved a pickaxe to further mutilate their bodies. David was arrested by police at 3:50 a.m., walking on a road near the Ralphs' home. Upon his arrest, David initially denied any responsibility, but several hours later, he admitted to the murders, with his only explained reasoning disgustingly being simply that the baby was crying. David was sentenced to multiple life sentences with minimums of 20 years, and in prison he was subjected to frequent abuse by other prisoners, and he spent most of his...
Good. I hope he gets his ass taken. Like, they can do whatever he want to him. Sick person.
45 years behind bars in protected conditions.
That's and protected, so he's getting protected. 4 or 5 years is not enough.
In December of 2018, a parole board cleared David for release, declaring that he had changed.
He killed not 1, 2, 3 babies. 3 babies, and he get released. Niggas nowadays get more for drugs, for selling drugs, but murders
Changed significantly.
That's crazy. That's
he was
actually
no longer
crazy.
a risk. There's bound to be anywhere from 1 to 3 Friday the 13ths each year. If you are superstitious and choose to be more low-key on this inevitable date in an attempt to escape any bad luck, you may end up like Daz Baxter. On Friday the 13th in 1976, Daz decided to just stay in the bed for the day to avoid anything bad happening, only to be killed when the floor of his apartment...
Hold on, chat. My phone.
Your phone ringing. Your phone ringing. Big boy, come pick up your phone. You know, pick up your phone ringing. Your phone going to go to voicemail.
Don't ask me why I have that. I just have it. Don't ask no questions.
The block collapsed under him. There's countless other...
Bro, what do you mean? What you mean, Volt? You caught. Bro, my phone was ringing and I just played that, bro. Wow. I'm not racist, bro. Don't try to paint me because I'm not racist, bro. I'm not racist, bro. It's just, you know.
Your phone
this is some classic sound.
Your phone ringing.
Daz decided to just stay in the bed in an attempt to escape any bad luck. You may end up like Daz Baxter. On Friday the 13th in 1976, Daz decided to just stay in the bed for the day to avoid anything bad happening, only to be killed when the floor of his apartment block collapsed under him.
Nigga, what?
the day to avoid anything
Am I
bad
bugging?
happening, only to be killed when the floor of his apartment block collapsed under him.
Oh my God.
There's countless other stories and examples of misfortune and downright tragedy that's happened on Friday the 13th.
Bro, imagine you saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not going because it's Friday the 13th. I don't want nothing bad to me. I'm just gonna lay down in my hotel." Then when you lay down, floor collapse or the building collapse on you and you're dead. What?
But this could be said for literally every other date on the calendar. At the end of the day, maybe it's just another day.
The other video about Mr. Sniper, he's one of the goats of storytelling, scary stories. Goated. But alright, YouTube. That was prolific things that happened on Friday the 13th by Mr. Nightmare. Is y'all enjoy that? I'm gonna put that on the live channel. Stand by God, stand by goals. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace.